come join the ride. The podcast that's got you auto supplied. From deals to trends and buying advice, we'll make car shopping extra nice.
So good. Tune in Tuesdays, don't be late. Nate and Mike got info great. Local auto news you need to hear. Ready to shift your knowledge gear. They're the pros from the dealer's floor, with tips and tricks and so much more. Be the buyer that's wise and smart. Rolling in style, you're off to a start. Mohawk Table Talk, come join the ride. The podcast that's got you auto supplied. From deals to trends and buying advice, we'll make car shopping extra nice. Got a question? Ask away. Nate and Mike got things to say. Guests drop in with insights to share. They'll guide you with their expert flair. Stories flow, insights unfold. Stay ahead, drive bold and cold. Mohawk secrets shared with care. Hit the road with confidence to spare. Mohawk Table Talk, come join the ride. The podcast that's got you auto supplied. From deals to trends and buying advice, we'll make car shopping extra nice. Think of Porsche on every day.
I'm live. I like it. The studio. Welcome to the Mohawk Auto Group studios. My name is Mike O'Toole. Welcome to Mohawk Table Talk. It's our podcast that we broadcast live right from the upstate New York studios at Mohawk Honda every Tuesday. Normally, sitting right next to me is my co-host Nathaniel Greklich. Nathaniel is off-site today. He has some assignments off-site, so I'm here. We're actually going to be joined in a few minutes by Jared DeGroff, who is our producer. He's normally behind the scenes. He's right now pressing buttons to make sure that my audio and video is coming through, so that's what we're going to do in just a few minutes. So welcome to Mohawk Table Talk. If for some reason this is your first time viewing, what we do every week from Mohawk Auto Group is we bring you the latest and greatest, not just from Mohawk Auto Group, but also from the local area and also nationally, and let you know what's going on in the car business and to get some insights from people that do this every day. So hopefully we can provide some info that help you become an informed buyer, because as we always say, an informed buyer is the best buyer. So we have a few topics today, and with that, it looks like Jared's ready to join us. Here we are. Here's Jared.
What's going on? Oh, God, the mic.
That's right.
So, thanks. Yeah, normally I am the man behind the camera, behind the board. So if there's ever audio problems, that's usually my fault. But
no blame placed.
No blame. I'll take it, though. But so today I had the opportunity. I'm like, yeah, I'll join Mike. Nate's off. Why not? I'll join the podcast. So here we are.
And it's a lot better than just listening to Mike talk at the camera for 20 minutes. So.
Yeah, I get to be involved.
That's right. So Jared's here. And I'll run down real quickly what we're going to cover. Not a ton of stuff, but we do have some local events. We always like to bring you up to date on what's going on here at Mohawk Auto Group, what we're participating in, and things that we'd love to see our customers and partners join us in. Also, we'll talk a little bit about national news. There certainly is some murmurs out there that, in fact, literally as I was sitting here before we went live, I received another email from NADA in terms of what's going on in the car business specific to EVs. So we're going to touch on that as our main topic. But before we do that, we want to talk about exactly what is happening here in Scotia, New York. And if this is your first time joining us, the Mohawk Auto Group, we're located in upstate New York, right by Albany, which most people from outside of New York don't realize is the capital. It's not New York City. So we are in the capital region of New York. And so we're located just north of there. We have two locations. The Mohawk Honda store that we're talking to you from is in Scotia, which is just west of Albany, and Mohawk Chevrolet, that's just north of Albany and Ballston Spa. Yep. We also have our Mohawk Collision Center that's between the two, and also also Rap Kings that's right next to Mohawk Chevrolet. So we appreciate you joining us. Regardless of what platform you're listening to, or if you're listening to the replay, we encourage you, if you have any insight or anything you'd like to weigh in on, you're welcome to chime into the live or put your comments in the replay, and we're happy to answer you on that platform.
Yeah.
I rely on Jared to do that along with everything else. I just sit here and talk, and Jared does all the hard work.
Oh yeah. Well, and then all the clips and stuff from these podcasts, they also go up on TikTok. So if you're not interested in listening to the full thing, even though half an hour isn't a super long time, we clip up a bunch of different clips, kind of the high points, the moments of interest, you could say, and those 30-second, 50-second clips, those go up on TikTok. So if you really want a short bite of that information, go ahead. Go to our TikTok, and you can see a bunch of different clips from all the podcasts that Mike, Nate, and everyone else has done.
That's right. I track those views, and is that why you
Yeah.
have more views on those short? People are like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll listen to Mike and Nate and Jared for like 30 seconds, but I don't know about 30 minutes. So.
Well, it's that attention-grabbing kind of attitude of TikTok, right? So you put the caption, like last week, the big one last week was how many cars Americans had.
That's right.
There was a ton of comments on that from people chiming in, I have 4, I have 5. There's a dude that posted a bunch of motorcycle photos. He says, I got 12. And I was like, well, that's great. Yeah, they're all lined up in front of his garage. So those little bite-sized nuggets of information that we clip out, like, those are always really good, and yeah, people like them because they're quick, easy, digestible. But then also you get people swiping through, and after a while they realize, oh man, I've watched like half an hour of these things, which is great for us. So thank you.
I think we're all guilty. Jared probably know this better than I do, but we're all guilty of watching a video. And I'll tell you, I've now become one of those people that if I watch a video and I don't hear anything that's interesting to me in the first 30 seconds, I go on to the next. I'm so impatient, right?
You swipe right up.
That's crazy. So thank you to everybody who's hanging in there with us and watching our podcast. We do have some important info to share. First, we wanted to talk about what's going on here locally, right?
Yeah.
That we're participating in, Mohawk Auto Group. I'm super proud to be part of the team that participates and donates not just cash, not just money, but also time to these really, really great causes. So we had a couple things that we just finished. In fact, last week, and I know Nate's a big part of this. We at Mohawk Auto Group, at Mohawk Honda, right in our delivery area, which kind of doubles as a conference room, we hosted the Executive Heart Hangout. Actually, it was on the patio. I'm sorry, it was on the patio upstairs. The Heart Hangout with some executives from the American Heart Association, which is really, really a neat thing. And we're super proud to be part of that, so we're glad we could donate that. And that was a big deal. You saw it, you were there, right?
I helped Nate set up, so I mean, it was really big. I mean, Nate did a really great job fundraising, with his heart condition and stuff that he's gone through. But all that fundraising goes to like the kids that showed up. So there was one, I forget his name, but he was here. They shot the commercial here, and all that money helps to research and give those kids a normal life, or as normal as they can be. So it was great to see them, great to see the executives with heart show up. All those people were great big contributors to this cause. So they all got together, and Nate had a great time putting it all together and kind of wrapping up that whole little run that they did.
That was amazing. I know there's some posts, so if you're on our social, look at the stills. Provide the likes. That goes further than just likes for Mohawk Honda or for the cause. The folks who were impacted, that young man there who was impacted, those likes really go a long way with him. So continue to support us with that. Also, speaking of support, Special Olympics, everybody knows that we're a big supporter. Our group of Special Olympics, specifically Special Olympics of New York. And tomorrow...
That's right.
Actually, it's raining today, Jim.
I know.
Hopefully it's not raining tomorrow, but it's not going to extinguish the flame.
Absolutely not.
See what I did there? So tomorrow, which is Wednesday, it's June 18th tomorrow, we are participating in the Special Olympics Law Enforcement Torch Run.
That's right.
Right? So the Torch Run here in the Capital District, that's something that Nate and I have talked about the last 3 or 4 episodes. That's a big deal, not because of our participation, but what it does for Special Olympics. And, really showing up to show our support is super important. Plus, that actual run, like physically with the torch, that's going to be pretty cool. Not too many people get the chance to do that.
That's going to be super cool. Nate's going to be there. Myself, I'm going to be there. I'm probably going to be in a car filming. So we kind of do blocking, right? So we have a pace car, I guess you could say it, and then we have a trail car. So I'll probably be in the pace car. If you see a guy hanging out a window with a camera, that's probably me. Trying not to get my camera wet while we do it. But yes, like Mike said, great event. We love the Special Olympics. Even before I was here, I was a big contributor to Special Olympics. What they do is fantastic, and actually really looking forward to have seen it. I've never seen it. So
that's going to be neat. So that's what we have coming up right away. So and that actually might be on local broadcast news.
Yeah,
so
you might see us there.
To check that out if you're a broadcast news person. Just also coming up locally this summer. It is summer, believe it or not, or it's just about
if it
there.
stops raining.
So in the capital area of New York, Capital District, one of the big attractions to bring people in from the outside are the horses, right?
Yep.
Saratoga Springs and the horse track and so forth. We just had the Belmont.
We did.
A week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And the track season starts in the second week of July, so that's coming up. But also, not to be outdone, right in that same area is the Saratoga Auto Museum.
That's right.
Right, and that's something that we love. And coming up in terms of some events, I'm just looking at their website. Saturday, June 21st. This is the Saratoga Auto Museum website, so check that out. Saturday, June 21st at 10 a.m. They have the Cars on Union, which is a pretty neat event. And then on June 22nd, we have the Cadillac Buick Car Show, which is pretty neat. And then something that is even closer to the Mohawk Chevy family, which we're part of. The Corvette presentation at Saratoga Library on June 24th.
Yes, and they actually just had the Corvette Gala. I believe that was on Friday, where they unveiled their whole new exhibit, which is a bunch of Corvettes, which is fantastic. They had a huge gala up at the museum, and that was the 24th anniversary. So sorry, I'm reading notes so I don't get things wrong and mixed up here. But they had a 24th anniversary gala, and that was to support, obviously, the Auto Museum so they can keep doing what they're doing. And the whole exhibit was based around Corvettes.
Wow.
Which was I didn't have a chance to go. Tickets were very expensive, but I got my invite in the mail.
It's very ironic that that all these events, I mean, these are really neat events.
Always.
And I know maybe it's just because I'm a car person, but I don't think so. Just all these cool sports cars or the history behind cars, and that auto museum is that's as busy a place as it's ever been.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you, right? People want to learn and know about cars.
They do.
You can get as involved as you want to. The Corvette Club locally that I know the Mohawk Chevrolet team supports 100% is a big deal, and it's growing from what I've heard.
Absolutely.
Like the members are growing. There's more and more Corvettes that are out there. Some of the newer fancy ones, right?
Oh yeah.
Some of the cool fancy ones, but also
some of the classics.
Some of those classics.
Absolutely.
Which, you gotta love the muscle car classic. And certainly for today, the last, but certainly not least, we are super proud and we are super humbled to be able to partner with the local Double H Ranch. And we recently made a donation of $10,000, right, from Mohawk Honda, $10,000 to Double H Ranch, which is a camp experience. If you're not familiar, we would love your support by visiting their website at doubleHranch.org. And I'll just read a real clip it right there from the top. This Double H Ranch, and this is a local ranch here.
Yes, Lake Luzerne.
Right. Lake Luzerne provides specialized programs and year-round support for children and their families living with chronic and serious illnesses. Right? And Jared, you know a little bit more about that, right? There's a whole camp experience and the whole thing. Yeah,
so I was fortunate. I went to college locally, so we partnered a lot of times with local camps and places because I was in the Res Life community, so we'd always do something in the summer. And Double H was one of those things, and they've been around for, I think 30 years. So all the programs that they do are free. Right. Any kid that has a serious illness or someone that can apply to go there, all these experiences are free, and they try to make it the true Adirondack experience from people from all over. So it's really a great program. It's a great ranch. The staff is amazing, and they'll do everything. It's all year. It's 365. So if you're going there in the summer, you're probably hanging out in the lake. You probably do some boating. They're probably doing something cool outside, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then obviously you get there in the wintertime and you have the mountains. You have Lake Placid, a stone's throw away, skiing, snowboarding, tubing, sledding, you name it, they do it up there. And it's just, if you haven't been there, you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's a great spot.
That's really amazing. And the more I hear about it, the more I'm so glad that we at Mohawk Auto Group were able to partner Mohawk Honda with the donation. And so we would certainly give another plug to them. doubleHranch.org, right? And it's spelled out doubleHranch.org. And there's even a little drop down here where you can say give to camp. You can learn a little bit more about their cause and the ways to give, whether it's time or a small donation. Every little bit counts.
100%.
It's free to these folks who really need it. So we're super proud to be part of that. So that's a whole bunch that's going on here locally that we're involved with. And when we come back next week, we'll have a whole new we'll have a rundown on how Nate did on the torch run for sure.
We'll have photo and video. It'll be up there.
It'll be up there. So please check all of our social pages. You'll see a whole bunch of stuff going on, as you know. And if you're just joining us here, it's been a few minutes since our intro, but you're watching Mohawk Table Talk. My name is Mike. This is Jared.
I'm Jared.
Nate, our co-host, is off-site doing a remote, so he's not here today. But we come to you live every Tuesday at approximately 12:30 from our studios at Mohawk Honda, and we're located in upstate New York, and we really appreciate you joining us. So we have a topic that's kind of a big, what do they call it, a big meatball kind of out there.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It is.
EV.
It is. We've been talking about EVs since we started doing this.
Yeah.
Right? And it seemed like every episode that it was one of our topics, we said, geez, can you believe EVs are growing in popularity, and there's more and more attention, and it was growing.
Yep.
But the weird thing is, we just saw a decrease in new EV sales in the last 30 to 60 days.
The shiny newness has started to kind of wear off a little bit, I think.
What just kind of off the cuff, what do you think or is a reason why we saw a slowdown in new EV sales?
Well, I mean, obviously the landscape of just the world right now, right? Like everything that was happening with Tesla, things like that. Obviously, that's not all EVs. That's a very small piece of it. You know, the Tesla kind of inventory, I guess, the Tesla cars. But I think people are still just wanting options. I recently traded in my Silverado and I got a car, and I could have easily gotten an EV, and I went through my options, and you know, like for me driving, if I drive to Long Island, visit family, whatever, for me the choice was I have to plan my route different, right? If it's a 400-mile trip and my EV gets 250, 300 miles per charge, that just changes how my life is. I can't just pull over at a rest stop, get a tank of gas in, 3 minutes, and be back on the road and get there. I have to plan it out. I have to take that rest stop. Maybe I'm staying overnight, depending on how long this trip is. And to me, it just wasn't, at this very moment, worth getting one. And I think the cost obviously is there. You see now EVs have ran the life cycle. People are getting them repaired at this point. People are seeing how expensive batteries can be if there's a replacement. We saw one come in on a pallet jack the other day. The crate's almost as big as a car for whatever was going on with that EV. And I think people are just being very cautious.
Yeah, I agree. And everything that we read points to the fact that there certainly is some uncertainty in the market, right? Whether it's EVs or whether it's not EVs and it's regular automobiles, ICE, we call it, internal combustion engine, whether it's ICE vehicles or EVs, because there's so much that's going on. It seems like there are people that are just saying, there's so much going on, I'm not going to do anything.
I'm just sticking with it.
Yeah, because that's kind of human nature, right? So, for example, at the end of March, there was all this talk about tariffs.
Of course.
Right? So tariffs certainly would make somebody say, well, geez, I might not want to. What is all this? I don't understand what tariffs are. I didn't have to deal with this before when I bought a car, so I might just hold off. And I'm not that engaged in buying a car, so I might hold off. On the other hand, what it did was people who were in the market,
it accelerated it.
Exactly. They were considering buying a car, say, middle of the year in 2025 or maybe the end of the year, you know, because when you sit around the dinner table and you say, you know what, it's time to replace the car. Well, we don't need to do it today. Well, let's do it by the end of the year. Right? Those folks might have said, you know what? Let's have that dinner table conversation again. Let's replace that car now before tariffs happen and I have to pay more for that same car.
And that's exactly what I did. I sat down with my wife. My Silverado was at a point where it was going to need some maintenance. It was going to be some expensive maintenance. And, you know, we sat down and just like Mike said, we're like, I was going to probably trade my truck in over the summer. And obviously being in the dealership, I'm hearing all the talk, all the buzz. And I was like, well, you know what? I might as well do it now. So I think you really fell into two camps. Like Mike said, you either fell in the camp of, oh, shoot, I'm going to get ahead of this, or I'm going to ride it out. And I think right now we're seeing a lot more people ride it out because obviously tariffs have kind of cooled down in terms of talk and buzz. And now we're in that kind of just hanging out stage.
Yeah, that is exactly, that's the great way to put it. There's limbo, Mike. We're kind of in the middle, and some folks are just like, I'm just going to disengage with this. If my car works and I don't need one, like it's not broken down, I'm just going to kind of hold off and see how this whole thing plays out. You know, but one thing that is interesting that I'm thinking, and I am at heart a used car guy, even though I speak for everybody here on the podcast. One thing that we saw that I reviewed last week, is that the day's supply of used EVs is actually decreasing, which means that demand is more. So what we see is that there's a certain amount of folks that are intending to buy an EV right, every month, or a certain amount. And the increase in used EV sales
Yeah.
probably directly related to a decrease in new
Yes.
EV sales, right? So it's the same group of folks that were going to buy an EV or consider one. However, they may be shifting from new to used.
Oh, yeah.
They may be shifting from new to used. So that actually, from what we see in our area, is the biggest reason why we see that slowdown in new EV sales.
Yep.
Is because there are more choices, and you could buy a used EV, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we see them here on the lot. We see them at the
Absolutely.
Chevy store.
And I think a lot of that, I think of EVs a lot like technology. So I'm a huge nerd. If you didn't, obviously I've never been on, so you don't know that. But with tech and stuff, I've bought a lot of secondhand gear. I'm a photographer, so I buy secondhand cameras all the time. Obviously good low miles, right, for a camera.
Yeah.
But I think it plays very hand in hand, right? If you are someone buying a new EV, a new piece of technology, a new MacBook, whatever, that first initial cost, it's pretty high. A new EV is pretty expensive. A new laptop is pretty expensive. But if you get one that's gently used, well, that first person took the hit. And now you can kind of get those benefits of having a new EV camera, laptop, whatever, and you're kind of less on the hook for that initial depreciation.
That's true.
And I think people are seeing that, and they're treating it more like that sort of thing as opposed to an ICE vehicle where, maybe depreciation isn't as steep, but you see fall off all the time on EVs a lot steeper than you would on an ICE car.
Yeah, absolutely. And selection, I think everybody wants selection, right?
Of course.
I know I do. I'd like to have a lot of choices, or at least enough choices where I can decide what I want, instead of being told that you can only buy this new one. Now that there are so many used EVs in the market, people have a choice, right?
Yep.
It could be different brands. It could be different styles of vehicles, a lot of different things. And I mentioned a few minutes ago that I received an email from NADA as we were about to go live here. And I pulled up an article here that's it's actually published on CBT News, Car Biz Today News. And Jared could probably read it right from my computer. It says, Senate Republicans move to eliminate EV tax credits within 180 days in sweeping budget bill.
Yeah.
So we don't get too political on our podcast here, but this is just facts. So there certainly is a bill that is passing through, at least at the Senate level, and it apparently pushed by the Republican side, that would eliminate or at least change that current EV tax credit for new vehicles and for pre-owned vehicles. So this by no means is a certainty, and you can research this yourself on whatever browser you'd like. But that if that happens, right,
changes
if that
everything.
happens, and assuming that even if there's a compromise between $7,500 potential tax credit and zero, if it's somewhere between there, it's going to be less.
Yeah.
It could be less. It's a possibility. I mean, how do you think that is going to affect new EV sales?
Well, I think a lot of people probably went towards a new EV a lot of the times because of the credit.
Yeah, that's a big credit.
That's a huge credit. That's like getting $7,500 just taken right off the top.
Right.
Works out obviously different. But, that's a huge discount when you're buying a new car. You don't see that on an everyday new car that you sell on the lot. So I'm sure a lot of people thought oh, this is fantastic. I was already kind of sort of in the market for an EV, and this pushed me over the edge. And now if this change gets reduced, goes away, whatever that case may be, I think is going to deter people the other way.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, that certainly could bring a lot more attention to EVs on the used cars,
Yes.
right? On the used car lot, or in any way that you could, acquire them. So we're going to continue to keep this. This is something that's really, really top of mind for everybody. Not everybody is necessarily an EV person or an EV intender, but if it's a car that you could buy, most people at least browse
100%.
and see what's going on. The good news is the reliability of most of the EVs is top notch.
Yes.
And so everybody knows that the vehicles are good.
Yes.
Everybody knows that the talk about replacing batteries, even though it happens once in a while, we still replace a heck of a lot more ICE engines, right?
And
full engine blocks, and,
yes.
the whole thing, than we do EVs.
Bits and pieces all the time.
Exactly. They still super reliable. So continue to follow us, continue to watch Mohawk Table Talk, because we want to continue to update you on what we know about this proposed bill, and there also could be one at the Congress level too. So we'll see what happens there. Kind of interesting, right? I also caught this. This is a little bit more. This is a little bit more light on that side, but it does have Honda in the title. So this is different than the EV bill. Now, Honda's new electric delivery quadricycle has has swappable batteries, and it fits in urban bike lanes. So like if
Interesting.
you think about New York City with the bike
Yeah,
lanes,
yeah.
where they can go. Now this is on motortrend.com. So if you want to know where I'm getting that info, motortrend.com. Huge title. Jared's kind of looking at my screen here.
I'm looking at his
you
notes.
You can see it, and I stuff I
does it
can't
look
share
like?
the video, but the quadricycle looks like. What does that look like? It kind of looks
Looks
like
like
a stand-up golf cart.
Yeah, it's like a stand-up golf cart or like a 4-wheel Segway.
Yeah. That's probably a better description. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a Segway. And I know I was in the city a couple weeks ago, and a lot of folks are either live in the city or have been a bit. But you know that there are a lot of deliveries being done on bicycles.
100%.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like pedal bicycle.
Yeah.
Right. It's super easy to do. They seem to be able to zip everywhere, get there a lot
Oh,
faster than
they
driving.
weave in and out. They split lanes like crazy.
So now we're talking about a vehicle that's a little bit bigger, but has maybe an area for cargo in the
Yeah.
back. And what caught my attention is that it's a Honda. And
Honda
it is
product.
it is a prototype
Sure.
right now. It's a prototype, but that's really, really pretty cool.
It's like the Moto Compacto's big brother.
Yes. You know, the Moto Compacto is a real thing, right?
Yeah, that's a real thing. It's in our showroom.
It is in our showroom, and it's in our parts department that you can get.
You can actually go buy one yourself.
They're on sale. They're on sale. All right, we don't plug products here on the podcast, but check that out. It's really a pretty cool thing. That's a scooter. Just for a person, not for
Yes.
deliveries. But anyway, so Honda has that new electric delivery quadricycle that's in prototype. I mean, it seems like to me, Jared can see. I can't really sure. I can't. It's tough for you guys to see.
Oh, yeah.
But that looks like a foregone conclusion that if they can produce those,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the folks in the city, you'll be getting your deliveries faster than ever.
Oh,
and more efficiently.
Amazon's window is going down to an hour. You're going to see a guy loaded up with 20 different boxes strapped on with bungee cords and ratchet straps.
Oh my goodness!
Dropping off your packages.
Yeah, but you heard it here first. Mohawk Table Talk. We
That's
brought
right.
it up first, so when you see it,
We pioneered it.
You say, "What in the heck is that thing?" You say, "Oh, I heard that on
Yep.
Mohawk Table Talk."
We did it first.
You guys have old news. So that's pretty neat. One other
That
thing
is
that's
cool.
been in the news that I didn't want to breeze over. Talking about things like EVs, and we haven't talked recently about autonomous driving.
No.
Right, where vehicles will drive themselves. But unless you haven't watched the news in the last 30 to 60 days, everybody's heard about kind of some unrest with the Waymo,
Yeah.
right? Driverless robo-taxis
Yep.
that are not in service around here, not in New York.
Not in New York.
They're in a few select states, specifically California, where there was some unrest, and there was some kind of just, it seemed like emotional revolt against the ideas.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because it actually brought a lot more attention on the Waymo company.
Yes, it
Right?
100% did.
And I have a feeling Jared knows, we didn't even talk about this ahead of time, but I have a feeling he knows a little bit more about Waymo than most people. But being a Google company,
Yeah.
boy, it seems like only like literally the sky's the limit for this company.
Yeah, I mean, Google's a weird one, obviously, right? Like, they start a bunch of projects. They also stop a bunch of projects all the time. But think of the amount of data Google has with Google Maps. And now you're feeding this car with all of that Google Maps data. And Google Maps, if you didn't know, if anyone around you is using Google Maps, that's how you get that alert in your maps, like if there's traffic.
Right.
It'll sense how many people are using the app, where they're driving, and how it's going. So all that data could potentially be fed into Waymo. I mean, I don't know. Mike, would you get in a driverless taxi?
You know what? At first, I said no way.
Okay.
And now my answer is I would.
You would?
I would.
All right.
If I travel to one of the cities, which you can check out their active service and where they are on Waymo.com. But I would do it.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. Plus, you know, I've watched enough YouTube and I've watched enough videos from folks that do it. There are no problems.
No.
It's more of like a surprise factor.
I would 100% be surprised, especially if you didn't know. Right? You call a taxi, call an Uber, whatever, and this car just shows up with no driver. I'd be surprised. I'd be like, where the heck's the guy?
Right.
Where's the person?
Because the car is a regular car. It's not
Yeah.
it's not like some space age
No.
thing. The question. Oh, I have a something. Maybe I can stump Jared here.
Ooh.
On. Do you know what vehicles they use as their Waymo vehicles right now?
Oh,
in service?
man.
And I'll give you a hint. There's two of them.
Two of them. Are they SUVs or subcompact or sedans? Let's narrow it down.
There's one sedan
Okay.
and one SUV type vehicle. Now he has a little advantage. He can see my screen, so
I can.
If you
I'm trying not
identify
to.
that-
I mean, that to me kind of looks a little bit like a back end of a BMW. Not quite.
You're getting colder. Remember
Getting
that
colder.
Remember the hot and cold game? When you
Hot
were a
and
kid?
cold, hot
You're
and cold.
Getting colder.
All right. So is it a... It's not a Honda. It doesn't look like a Honda.
It's not a Honda.
Not a Honda.
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
It's European.
European. Doesn't look like it.
A Google company that's using a European.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is.
Yeah, I'm trying to place the grill. I can't really put my finger on it. It doesn't really look too much like an Audi.
Nope.
I don't know, Mike.
It is. The headlights give it away. So the main vehicle that they use, which he's looking at, just like the little video
Yeah.
on my screen, is a Jaguar I-Pace.
Jaguar. Interesting choice.
Yeah, Jaguar I-Pace. The compatibility with all the hardware, the actual
Just
hardware
worked.
that's on the vehicle works really well.
Okay.
And obviously, they did some research on that. And the second one, I won't make you guess. The second one is actually a minivan.
That makes sense, though.
Chrysler Pacifica.
Classic.
Chrysler Pacifica, and I don't have the data as to how they vetted that and determined those two.
Those were two eclectic models.
They really are. They really are. But when you think about it, I mean, the Jaguar I-Pace is kind of cool, right? That might be for that person that who would hail a cab, a regular cab,
Uber X
right?
or something like
type
that
of thing. And then the van,
Yeah.
obviously would be right if you have 4 or 5 people with you.
You're getting
how
the
you
van.
Get there, right?
Right.
You need a van.
Get in the van.
You got the luggage and you got all that stuff. So
I wonder how they outfitted the Pacifica, right? It makes sense. The Jaguar probably integrated pretty well. It's a pretty tech-focused car, especially with Jaguar's latest rebrand.
Sure.
But the Pacifica, that'd be interesting. I'd be interested to see how they set that up.
We gave ourselves a little research project here.
Yeah,
but,
we'll get back to you.
Yeah. We wanted to touch base on those things. So here's what we talked about so far. We talked about the involvement of Mohawk Auto Group here locally, and big shout out to Double H Ranch.
100%.
Please visit their website at ranch.org. Check them out. Check out what they're about. They're right here, local to us in Lake Luzerne. So that's a big shout out. We will come maybe live at the Torch Run tomorrow, Special Olympics Torch Run, or at least you'll be able to see some of the footage afterwards.
Yeah,
check out all our socials.
We're definitely going live. It won't be kind of like this. Obviously, it'll probably just be Facebook Live, very user-generated content style. Because again, we're going to be trying to capture photo and video all at the same time. So whatever rig that we set up, I'm sure it'll be cool to get both at the same time. But some photo and some live video will be out there tomorrow while we're out on the course.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing that. Also, we talked about EVs. We mentioned some of the stats from the last 30 to 60 days that new EV sales actually saw a decline for the first time in 18 months. And we have determined, at least at our level, that we attribute that to the increase in used EV sales.
100%,
right?
yeah.
So those the EV intenders, and you may be one of them, the EV intenders have maybe shifted their focus from that new, more expensive vehicle to that used, less expensive vehicle. We also know that there are some bills of legislation out there and proposals about eliminating EV tax credits, federal tax credits. So we're going to keep you up to date on that. That's not a thing yet. But it certainly is worth watching, and we will report to you when we have the info. So we will be back next week.
Yes, we will.
We'll be back next week, 12:30 on Tuesday. Nate should be back in the studio.
Yeah, I think so. If not, I'll be here.
Jared's always here.
I'm
You
always
just don't
here.
see him. He's usually back there, and in fact, he's probably going to have to jump up in a second and press a button.
I will. I'm gonna have to end this, so you're just gonna see Mike's beautiful face for about 30 seconds while I end the stream. But yeah, I'm always around. If you have questions and we try to answer them, I'd be the person reading them. So there's always someone watching. So if you do have a question and you are on Facebook or YouTube or whatever other platforms we're streaming at the time, drop it. Let us know. We'll try to answer. If not, we do read the comments. If I don't know the answer, I'll send it to Mike, Nate, whomever. I'll do the research myself. Whatever it takes, we will get you guys the questions and answers you deserve.
That's right, and that's it for this week. Thank you for watching Mohawk Table Talk. My name is Mike with special guest / producer / tech guy
Jared.
And we'll be back next week at 12:30. We'll see you then.
Awesome. See you later.